This is one of my all-time favorite bushcraft projects. You can do this out in the wild or at home with you and the family and the kids. This is the pine torch. We only need 3 basic materials to make this project work. Some form of natural fiber. So I have stinging nettle fibers here, but you can easily get something like strips of a 100% cotton t-shirt, because these are natural fibers as well, or even jute cordage, which you can buy in the store. Some pine resin here. We can forage this in the forest, but pine resin has so many uses. You can even buy it off of the internet, even places like Amazon. You'll be able to get some nice purified pine resin delivered really easily. And a stick. Now look, it shouldn't be hard for you to find a stick, but hey, maybe you're in the heart of some city and you still want to try this. You want to try this, I don't know, your city condo. I'm not against it. Just head down to a Home Depot or Lowe's, some kind of home improvement store, and grab a dowel. So I really like to show you guys how to forage this stuff, how to make this stuff in the field. And with projects like this, also how to get it, at the market if you can. So whether or not you live in a beautiful outdoor place like I do, you're lucky enough to have this all around you, right? You can still practice your love of nature and bushcraft and science in these projects and participate along with me. If you want to forage for your pine resin, just walk around a pine forest. It's everywhere. So what you'll look for is a place where the tree has been damaged or scarred. So what happens with the resin, right? And so the tree will get punctured or scarred in some way. So what the pine resin does is the tree gets punctured, it gets a wound, like we get cuts and nicks, right? It sends the pine resin to the wound site to make sure the tree itself can't get infected. So the pine resin is antimicrobial. So most bacteria and fungus can't grow in this stuff. So if it gets opened up down to the wood, it will send the resin there to patch the area so it doesn't get an infection and, get sick or die just like humans do. So here I have the dead stalk, and you can see the fibers are very noticeable when you break it. So here we just do a break and shake. And when farmers and processors, they process these fibers, they get them, they dry them, and they break them up with a machine, of course, and then shake out the stalks, much like we're gonna do. Now, when you see the fibers dried like this, you'll begin to realize why it's used as a cotton substitute. Clothing made from stinging nettles to the touch is just about indistinguishable from cotton. And even in World War II, when we had Germany all surrounded and they couldn't get cotton imports anymore, or a lot of other imports, they harvested wild nettles from the creeks to make uniforms for their soldiers. Or at least that's what I read once. So the build here is very simple. We just get our branch and we wrap our natural fibers around it. As long as we have at least a 1/4 inch thickness, we'll be good to go. With these tinder fiber bundles, it ends up being a little thicker, and that's fine. Now, if I was going to make rope out of these nettle fibers, or if this was milkweed fibers, foxbane, or any of those, I would get rid of a lot of these little pieces of the stalk. But with a torch, it just doesn't hurt. It's more combustible material. And now if you're using a cotton t-shirt, you would do the same thing. You would just wrap it all around, right? Nice and thick for your torch material. Now, I don't know about you, but to me, this looks like it's meant to be a torch. Let's get Indiana Jones in this piece. Now, there's one really awesome thing about the resin we harvest, the smell. If you could smell this resin here, the red stuff that we gathered off the local trees, it is incredible. So I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit, because this stuff can really catch on fire pretty easily, right? So we don't want the heat too high. As it melts, I'm going to go ahead and lift it off my stove there, just like you'll do at home. I'm using my little pocket rocket here. This is a dang near 20-year-old stove, maybe the original MSR pocket rocket. And I'm going to lift the pan up as this goes, because this can ignite Okay, you may have trouble putting it out. So if you're doing this at home, you're doing this at the stove, you have to be really careful. Water will not put this out, okay? You have to use something like baking soda or a fire blanket because water will make it worse. So here we are, just letting that heat slowly build. Now you're going to see it gets to this point just about 1 minute. Look at that color there. I love working with nature. Hope you guys get to try this. It's really awesome. I have to say there's something a bit primal about working with this resin. I mean, humankind has been working with this stuff for thousands and thousands of years, putting it on wounds so they don't get infected, making waterproofing, making torches. It may have even been an ingredient in the famous Greek fire. This is even where we get modern day turpentine from. Look at that pine sap soup, right? That thick pine broth. Again, I'm lifting it off the stove, on and off, to make sure that it doesn't ignite because it is really hard to put out. Once you get it going, it's a very flammable substance. So be careful with the heat. Again, we're working in the house, right? Be careful. You don't want to throw it or fling it because it'll shoot fire everywhere, okay? Now you can see all the little bits of bark and stuff that were in the wild harvested resin. But again, for torches, for bushcraft torches, that's just not an issue. Still going to get a long burn time, plenty of flammability. I wish you could smell this. I wish we had smell-o-vision. Okay, it's all liquid now and ready to pour. And you have to be very, very careful with this phase. You have to be sure you don't get any of this on you, okay? I have my handle here. I'm going to be holding the torch really far back. Cannot risk pouring this on our skin. All right, you see, I have a little collection vessel under it. So as I pour it on, all the stuff that, doesn't stick, that runs down, I can reuse. I don't want to waste my material. Very careful, all far away from any part of my body. I'm just going to drench this stuff. Get all soaked. All the way around. If I have to heat up more, no problem. And there she is. Look at that beautiful torch. I'm going to let this dry, shape it up a bit, light her up. So now that it's not hot, still malleable, I'm going to shape it exactly how I want. Look at that. Get it all nice, compact, and, looking like a corn dog, kind of. Look at that. It's beginning to look like it's encased in amber. Awesome. So here it is, all dry, all done. Now actually it dries pretty hard there. So it's not sticky to the touch. It's actually got like a rock candy consistency. Watch when I break that there. See, it kind of powders down there. Just like rock candy. These can be a little hard to light, but once they are burning well, the wind just doesn't put them out. And this is completely waterproof before you light it. Look at all that excess resin just coming off. And here we go. Of course, this can be used for light, to keep insects away, or as an all-weather fire starter. Before this is lit, this is 100% waterproof. And you know what? It's just plain fun. Now, they can be a bit hard to get started, but once they're lit, pretty much windproof. Look at her go. Back bats, back vampires, or you know, whatever you use a torch for. So that has been the Bushcraft torch. Till next time.